Welcome. I'm Bernice Ross, the CEO and President of Brokerage Up and RealEstateCoach.com.
And my name is Greg McDaniel. I'm the co-founder and co-host of the wildly famous and successful podcast, Real Estate Uncensored. But today, Bernice and I are Real Estate Coach Uncensored.
We have a great show for you today. It's called 5 Ways to Put Your Overpriced Listings on a Price Reduction Diet. And Greg, no matter how good the market is, there are always overpriced listings that fail to sell. So if you've got an overpriced listing and you're struggling with what to do, we're going to talk about it today. So Greg, what causes listings to expire in your opinion?
Well, there's several things. The reasons why listings expire. One of them are you list it too high. It's a bad market and people have unrealistic expectations. Sellers have unrealistic expectations, and then also it just comes down to just the property. Is it a saleable property?
Greg, in addition to some of the things that you have cited, part of what's going on right now is that there have been major market shifts due to COVID-19. So we've gotten a trend away from downtown areas because so many businesses are boarded up or closed due to COVID. Oh. And there's been movement away from the downtown areas in many places to less densely populated suburbs and some cases even out into more rural areas. The other thing is we've seen a shift in what people want. There's been a shift, McMansions were dead on the market a year ago. And now everybody is like, hey, we want the yard, we want the big house. I've got kids coming back from college. My parents may be staying with us. I mean, there's all these different factors that are contributing to the fact that what people need today is not what they're living in. So we've got a big market shift going on. And what happens is, that means that those properties that were super hot a year ago many of them aren't now, and some of the ones that were dead in the water are very desirable now. So we can have these shifts take place, but what happens is the sellers have in their mindset, my property is desirable, it's downtown, it should be going up. Well, that's not what happens. So again, the question is, if you have one of these listings, what do you do to put your listing on a price reduction diet?
You know what, Bernice, to really illustrate this point, we just took another listing for about $2 to $2.5 million. And this property is unique. It's a 5-acre parcel, and you can put a 6,000 square foot, almost 6,600 square foot building on the property. And nobody's been able to sell this thing for almost 700 days. We took it, and we were getting showings literally almost every day at this point because people are just clamoring for space right now. And so we actually we brought the price down a little bit, but yet we didn't bring it down so much that it was odd, and people are just going banana cakes for this thing. It's incredible.
This is a classic example of what happens when the market shifts and you have something that you couldn't sell. Here's tip number 1. The best defense is a good offense. So we're going to be talking about what is known as the honeymoon period. Now, the honeymoon period references the first 21 days that your property is on the market because that's when you're going to have most of your showings. And after about the last half of the second week, you're going to see your showings are going to plummet because when a listing first comes on the market, you have everybody who has been looking for something and hasn't found it. They're going to be looking at the new listings. So you get this surge at the beginning. So it's really important that your sellers list the property at the right price at the beginning. Now, one of the times, you're going to get sellers to say, well, let's just test the market. Well, here's the script. Testing the market is a poor idea since most showings occur during the honeymoon period, which is the first 21 days that your property is listed. After the first few weeks, your showings drop dramatically. If your listing doesn't sell during the honeymoon period, it can literally end up being on the market for months. Consequently, if we've had good traffic and your listing hasn't received at least one offer after 2 weeks of being on the market, it's important that you reduce your price to still take advantage of the honeymoon period where the bulk of your listings will take place, or the bulk of the showings will take place. So the idea here is to get the seller to agree to list the property if they're going to test the market, but get them to agree to a price reduction within the first 2 weeks and then put it in your listing agreement. Now, Greg, how are you handling this?
Actually, surprisingly close to what you just described. When I sit down and I tell people if they want to price it at their price, I say, okay, no problem. First question is there a comp I missed? Because I may have missed a comp because I'm human. Was there someone you know in the neighborhood that may have sold for a higher price that may never hit the market? And they say yes or no. You say, okay, great. Because the reason why I'm asking this is because I need to be able to present this to the buyer's agent, because they're going to ask him for comps when they're going to make an offer. And then I say, okay, so you want to list it for X amount above what I have suggested. Not a problem. We can do that. We can, what you said, Bernice, test the market. But you know what? After 14 days, if we don't either have a showing a day or an offer in hand, then we're going to come back together as a team, and we're going to reevaluate the market, and we're going to take a look and see what the market is talking and saying to us, because it's not me telling you the home isn't worth what you want. It's the market saying your home may not be at that level. I'm not saying your home isn't quality, just not where the market is right now. Not your home, the market. And if you agree to do that, then yes, absolutely, let's try your price, and then we'll attack this thing again after our honeymoon phase. Would that be fair to you? And they say yes. And the reason why I ask all these questions is because I'm putting Mr. or Mrs. in the driver's seat in their mind, but I'm still driving the ship. But they think they're driving the ship. And that's the whole point. And what we've done, we've put it actually in our listing agreement that in 14 days we'll come back to and readjust the price. Now, check your marketplace. That may or may not be appropriate for you. Check with your brokers. But you know what? For us, it has worked. Otherwise, just have a verbal agreement with your sellers and just make that connection. Guys, I'm telling you, what Bernice's script, what I have done, these are powerful things and they work.
Greg, great suggestions. It comes back to the honeymoon period. Very simple. Got 21 days or less, and you get out to day 10 or 14, you better be asking for a price reduction if the market is strong. So the next approach is a slight variation of the honeymoon period. It's called the 10 days or 1,000 page views approach. So this is a different way you can approach this. Rather than talking about the honeymoon period, you can use this also during your listing appointment. So when you take the listing, tell the seller if we have had 10 showings with no offers, or if we've had 1,000 page views and only a handful of showings during the first couple of weeks we're on the market, they need to drop the price. And as Greg just said, and I said before, if they agree to this provision, include it in the listing agreement. So you could use the honeymoon period, or you can use this approach. Number 3, it's your fault you're not doing your job. Now, if you've been in the business for any length of time, you have heard this, when the price is wrong, they're going to say, you're not doing your job. We've only had a few showings. We need more open houses. We need more ads. We need you to spend more money. Now, here's a simple way to overcome this objection. Show the seller the number of page views their listing has had online. Now, Greg, in your area, can you actually track the number of views from your MLS?
Yeah, we absolutely can. And we track the page views. We also have a group of other agents that come in and give suggestions on pricing and quality. So it's not us, it's what the market is saying. So absolutely, page views are a massive, massive opportunity.
Well, and here's where you can really beef this up now. So in addition to checking with your MLS, and as far as I know, most of the MLSs in the country provide this.
Yeah.
But then there's, you can also go to Zillow, and Zillow has a counter that lets you know how many times a listing has been viewed on Zillow and how many times it was saved. And, there was one example that was on the Zillow website, property been on for 21 days. It had 2,111 views. Now, the sellers are not expecting it to be that much, but now, so you can combine those views with what you had, say you had 2,500 from your MLS. Mm-hmm. And then you put that together with realtor.com, and they have what they call their performance reporting summary. Mm-hmm. And this looks at specifically how many search results, how many views a particular listing has had. So listing detail views, And the example they gave said this week 4,000, last week 5,000. You're probably already getting a honeymoon effect there, where it's, it's starting to slow down from, but you could say, okay, so in the last 2 weeks we had 2,500 views on Zillow, we had 9,000 views on Realtor, we had, maybe another 3,000 on our MLS, and let's just beef it up a little bit more. Okay. You can add your Facebook business page. So how many views that took place over there, because you can track views over on Facebook.
Yep.
Open houses, if you're on Facebook Live or Instagram TV, you can see how many times your listing was viewed or how that particular video was viewed. Number of page views on any listing videos that are posted on YouTube. And again, if you're using like Matterport or some other virtual tour company, they show how many page views you've had. And then of course you don't want to forget about your open house. So whether it's virtual or it's live, you want to add all those numbers together. And the bottom line is here, you can now go to the sellers. I mean, it sounds to me on this listing, they probably have 13 or 14, 15,000 views when it's all said and done, when you say.
Yeah, at least. I mean, and it keeps growing. And we actually get reports talking about how many views each listing gets. And then we submit them to our sellers on a weekly basis so that they know exactly what's going on. Because when it comes down to communication, one of the best things, and it comes down to anybody, you want to know how the individual who's going to be selling your product is doing and what their view count is, because visibility is everything. And our sellers are so appreciative of seeing these numbers. It doesn't matter if it's 20 or 20,000, as long as they're getting viewed, they're happy, and then you can make adjustments from there.
Are you using a service for that, or is that coming from your MLS?
That's actually coming from our MLS. We also use like Redfin and Zillow and Trulia. We use all these different services because they're looking at those third-party services. So we provide them with those views along with our MLS, along with like all of our YouTube videos and everything else we're doing for their homes and their Facebook. Like all of our sellers, they require and request for me to come out and do a Facebook Live for each one of their properties, and then I send it to them, and then they send it out to their people. Then they can watch the ticker, kind of go up as the view counts go up, and it makes them feel good.
Well, I can't emphasize this enough. And very few agents are really taking advantage of this. And more importantly, they're not reporting it to their sellers. That's the huge takeaway here. So here's your script on what to say to the sellers. Mr. and Mrs. Sellers, you can see from this spreadsheet or from these reports, and I would suggest you put these into Excel spreadsheets so you can see, like from Trulia, from Zillow, from Redfin, wherever, your MLS. Your listing has had over 10,000 page views during the last 2 weeks. This doesn't include the 100 brokers and open house visitors we have had at our brokers open and Sunday open houses. The issue here is the price, not the marketing. Consequently, you have an important decision to make. Are you going to lower the price where the property will sell, or are you going to leave it at the current price and let it sit on the market? It's your choice. What would you like to do? Again, very powerful way to get them to lower their price. Our marketing is working, we are getting the views, the price or some other factor isn't.
Yeah, no, it really is. And a lot of people have expectations, and it's not their fault. They're just eager. It's a very emotional thing that they're going to be doing, selling a piece of property. So they're going to want to see all these numbers. They're going to want to understand what's going on. And, Bernice, I think one of the most powerful things you always say, and it's the very last phrase, it's your choice. What would you like to do? And it puts the ball back in their court, and it gives them the power in their mind. And it's such an amazing thing.
I can't emphasize that enough again. As Greg mentioned earlier, you want the sellers to feel as if they're in control. And that's the same thing with your buyers. It's their house, it's their mortgage, it's their decision. So here's number 4, the odds of selling when the market is the issue. And I love this approach. I have used this going back to the 1990s. It is golden. It has worked for me with bank presidents. I had one listing that was listed with the largest developer in Japan, and they owned about half of LA at the time. And, they turned down the offer from our buyer. And when I showed them the odds of them selling, there was 60 months of inventory on the market at that point in time.
Whoa.
When they saw the probability that there was, there's 5 years of inventory, they understood the numbers in Japan, got my offer accepted. So here's what I said to them. Before I give you the script that includes what I said to them, let's take a look at how this works. So this is another tried and true approach. And again, like I said, right now, many urban areas are having a tremendous slump. Also, due to COVID-19, we have a lot of foreign buyers who were in the marketplace before, and they're not driving up ultra luxury homes. They're, our foreign investors, foreign buyers usually like having condominiums where they don't have to worry about upkeep of the property. So these are all issues that are driving some price ranges to go down and others to go up. So we've had a shift in the market. So this can happen to you just due to a market shift. So let's assume that where your particular listing is located and in the price range that it's being marketed in, there's 25 months of inventory on the market. Here's what to say. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there are currently 25 months of inventory on the market in your location. What this means is that if there are no new listings that come on the market, it will take 25 months for all the current listings to sell. Now, in other words, the odds of you selling in today's market are 1 out of 25. That's 4%. So your odds of selling in any given month are 4%. The odds of you still being listed next month that you will not sell are 96%. So consequently, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you have an important decision to make. Will you be the 1 out of 25 sellers who will sell this month, or will you be part of the 24 who will still be listed next month? It's your choice. What would you like to do? So that means they're going to have to be, in terms of price and condition and quality, they're going to have to be in that top 4% to sell in any given month.
Yeah, it really puts it back in their shoes. And one of the things I love to do when I walk into a listing presentation is I say, Bernice, I'm here to serve you. We can either do one of three things. We can price it at the ultra highest point and ever been listed in the area. We can market it at a fair market value based on comps, or we can do it slightly below to see if we can get multiple offers. Again, what would you like to do? And it goes right back to using the numbers, using the inventory, really showing them what's going on, because your job is to be an educator. You need to show people what is going on, because they don't live this life every day.
Again, it's very powerful when you put the seller in charge. Don't ever underestimate that. And again, what you did that was very powerful with that script. You gave them 3 choices, but that third choice, do you want to price it slightly below the market, is particularly important if prices are declining, because otherwise you're chasing the market down.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that leads into number 5, which is if you're seeing price declines, then, this is something to take note of. Now, the good news is that there are a lot of tools out there that, a lot of the AI tools that tell you whether prices are going up or down. You can get market trends from all kinds of places. So if it shows that prices are going down, then you want to have that conversation. Now, I'm going to give you the old-fashioned way of calculating this specifically for your listing. So what you can do is the following. First, you go to the MLS and you run the comparable sales for the last 90 days and calculate the average price per square foot for those properties. And I think most MLS software will give that to you. You don't need to have to do it that anymore. So that's,
right.
And remember the 10% rule if you're doing comps always. When you choose a comparable sale, the improvements, so you have a 2,000 square foot house, the improvements need to be between 1,800 and 2,200 square feet, 10% either way. 5,000 square foot lot, that means lot size should be 4,500 to 5,500 to be spot on. Otherwise, you're going to have too much value in the land or too much value in the improvements. Okay, so you've calculated that average for the last 90 days. Now you want to go back to the previous 90-day period and repeat the process. So if my prices were $200 a square foot, and then it was 220 in the 90-day period ahead of time, my prices have gone from, they've gone down from 220 to $200 a foot. So you've got to, what you're seeing is a big drop in prices, and you can show the seller how much those numbers have gone down. So You want to compare that first number, the 90 days, the current 90-day period, with the earlier one. And if the numbers are lower, then this is what you need to say. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, even though the overall market is still very strong, in your price range and location, property values have declined by 2% over the last 90 days. So let's just assume it was a 2% decline. On your $500,000 listing, that's a total of $10,000. This doesn't include the cost of making your mortgage payment, your taxes, and insurance. You now have an important decision to make. Do you want to reduce the price on your listing to avoid chasing the prices down, or do you want to wait and run the risk of prices dropping another $10,000 over the next 90 days? It's your choice. What would you like to do? So the important takeaway here is calculate the percentage that the prices went down and then multiply it by the value. So if it's a 3% on 500,000, they went down 15,000. If it's 1%, they went down 5,000. But what you're saying to that seller is that prices are going down. You've missed the top of the market, and it may be going down more.
Yeah. It's not a fear-based selling, it's an information-based selling. And again, you're on team seller. And so your job is to give them this information and not be afraid of it.
I just want to add to that. This not only works, again, when you're on a listing appointment and you're going after a price reduction, it works when you're negotiating offers. This is golden. Because when you can show the seller that their prices have gone down and they may go down more, and this is really powerful if you're the buyer's agent to persuade them, because I can tell you that listing agent hasn't done the calculation.
No. They're just looking for that offer to come in.
So, Greg, so what's your final takeaway? Somebody needs to put their listing on a price reduction diet.
My one takeaway, guys, on this is be brutally, like bare knuckle fighting in the alley, brutal, like honest with your sellers and with your clients. And don't try to sugarcoat it, and just say, guys, this is exactly what's going on in the marketplace. And if you have any questions, go talk to your broker, talk to a top agent in your area, learn how to do these calculations, but just do them and then show up. So that's my takeaway. Bernice, what's yours?
Well, one of the things is, especially if you're at the end of the year or at a time when things are a little bit slower, the question is, do you go for the price reduction now or wait? And I think, anytime you can get a price reduction to get the property listed correctly, take that opportunity. And when you do a price reduction, be sure to take new photos, make the house look different angles, get the sunset, get the dusk views, get, different angle on the house so it looks different in the MLS with the different price, because it will draw people's attention. So thank you for being with us today. We'll see you next time.